This is Marriage on the Half Shell, Raw and Exposed. So, just want to give out our contact information here at the beginning. If you have comments or questions, or whatever, if you want to communicate with us, you can do that at marriageonthehalfshell@gmail.com. So tonight we're going to talk. We haven't posted in a while. We've been, we've been busy, and I say that, but it's been a little nuts around here. I think it's been a couple of months since we've actually.
2 months.
It's been 2 months. Probably a little longer than that, actually.
First month we.
So we caught COVID. So we weren't sure what we were going to talk about next. And then this experience just kind of brought some stuff to the surface that we can talk about tonight. And then we also had to finalize plans for our fourth daughter's wedding. And she's the last one to get married. And she got married last weekend. And it was beautiful and all of those things. And Mom cried and Dad was happy. And, a little bit, I teared up a little. So we managed to pull that off. Despite still kind of sort of recovering. I think we're both more or less recovered now.
More or less.
Yeah.
It took
time. It did take time.
2 weeks to go through it.
Yeah.
At least 2 weeks, maybe more, to stop feeling the fatigue.
Yeah. Start to feel normal again. We were both pretty sick for a couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. It was a good solid 2 weeks. And then I think we took another week because we were both severely sleep deprived.
Yeah.
So we took another week to kind of straighten that out and get our eating back on track. It's not like we weren't eating a lot of junk food and stuff, but we just weren't eating, period, because we were sick,
But then we went into 3 to 4 weeks of prep for this wedding. Yeah,
prep for the wedding.
Making cake and making food and changing the place from outside to inside.
Yeah, that was crazy.
So anyway. And if you hear more of Abby talking than me, it's because I still have just a lingering cough when I talk too much because of the COVID.
Right.
And I never lost my taste and smell, but Abby did.
I did, and it sucks. I'll tell you that right now. It's just now starting to come back a little bit. So my hope and prayer at this point is that I can get it back before Thanksgiving so I can actually taste Thanksgiving dinner. That would be nice.
Yeah.
But the smell is still not there.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
So I just saw the thing today. I was going through some pictures and stuff, and I was getting rid of some things so I could videotape myself working out. And it was August 20th. That's when I came home from the gym, and we had planned to go to the beach that day. You were going to get off work early.
20th or 23rd, that Friday.
Okay, it was that Friday. So we were going to go to the beach, and because Friday is our date night, and we were just going to take the rest of the day and, go to the beach and then come home and have a nice dinner or whatever. So I came home and I said, are you okay? Because I just felt like something was off. And you said, no, I feel kind of run down. And I was like, oh, well, maybe we just need to get outside. It didn't cross my mind that it might be something serious, because you never get sick.
Yeah. And we honestly thought we'd already had
Yeah.
COVID, March of 2020.
Yeah,
or so.
Because my daughter, one of my other daughters had it before they even knew what it was.
Yeah, pretty much.
She had it, and she was sick for several weeks and lost her taste and smell and all of that before we even had a name for the thing.
And we were spending a lot of time.
Oh, we helped take care of the kids, and we were taking care of her, and it was a mess. But anyway.
But apparently we didn't have it.
Yeah, so
and we got
did.
It again.
So
we got it.
I'm hoping we got the Delta variant, and we just got this whole
whatever. It was terrible.
Freaking thing out of the way. But okay, so that was Friday. Saturday, you started running just a slight. Neither one of us ever ran a fever over 100. It was low-grade fevers the entire time, and that was even when you got really sick.
Yeah.
So, I Monday rolled around and I was like, okay, he's definitely sick now, so I'm just going to stay home because whatever it is, I'm not going to pass it around. It is flu season too, so I wasn't sure. We weren't sure at that point. But somewhere around Tuesday afternoon, I started feeling crappy too. So I think it was Thursday or Wednesday or Thursday you went and got tested.
Yep.
And then we got your test result. And sure enough, there it is. And I think there was probably most of the time we were sick, neither one of us were sleeping. Not really. Not really. You got it worse than I did, a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
You developed the COVID pneumonia. You got a very minor case. A mild case, but it was enough. It was bad enough.
But I was like down. I didn't want to move.
Yeah.
There was the shortness of breath.
Right.
We even got an oxygen oximeter.
Pulse ox, yeah.
And oxygen was low.
Yeah.
For a number of days.
Right.
So.
Anyway, so about 2 weeks later, you started to feel better. It took me about a week and a half, but it took you 2 weeks to really start to come back,
right.
I think. And then we took another week because COVID brain fog is real. It's a real thing. And
yeah.
I think that some of the initial brain fog was sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
For both of us. I mean, once we started to get caught up on our sleep, we started to lose some of that brain fog. We're still kind of dealing with it a little bit. Just a little. Well, yeah. No, I know I am.
Maybe I am and I don't know it.
Yeah. So, anyway. So, after 3 weeks, one of the ways that I deal with, I have like a generalized anxiety, and it kind of comes and goes. It hasn't been that bad, but being away from the gym for 3 weeks did it. Just triggered it, and I just had awful anxiety, and I think it was built up. It was also sleep deprivation and everything that we went through and all of that. And
how you felt about seeing me.
Yes, we are going to get into that a little bit.
Compared to, you got kind of bad for a day or two and sore throat. And then you started coming out of it, but I was really just down.
You went downhill when I started to kind of take a turn for the better.
Yeah.
So.
All that.
Yeah. So.
Let's say all that, unless you have more of the story.
No.
Before we get to what we're really going to talk about.
No, we can't. No, I mean, we had to quickly switch gears from, we had to get in gear pretty quickly after we recovered because our daughter's getting married.
Yeah.
And we're
putting on the wedding.
And we were putting on the wedding. And
but we will give a ton of credit to her fiance's now husband's parents because I think they wanted to help a lot anyway.
They did.
And that's great. And they certainly jumped in and did a lot. So Chris and Norma, I'm not going to say their last name, but Chris and Norma, we appreciate everything they did.
And they were.
We couldn't have pulled it off.
Well, they were sort of dealing with it too because the couple that got married, my daughter and my then prospective son-in-law also caught it.
They caught it, but it didn't last long.
No, but Hannah wasn't that sick, and James was a little less sick than me. Like that's kind of, you were the worst, and then me, and then James kind of recovered a little quicker than I did, and then Hannah was just bored. Yeah. Like she had a little bit of a fever for a few days, she had a little cough, and then she was just bored because she couldn't go back to work.
Yep.
So, and then one of my sons, my sons didn't catch it at all. They were fine. So anyway,
so I was going to say all of that to tell you this, and this is what we're going to talk about.
Right.
Why don't you describe? So this episode is called "Keeping the Connection." So why don't you describe? And all the credit goes to you for coming up with the idea. Describe what happened.
I think it's because I didn't get as sick as you did.
Right.
You were pretty out of it.
Way out of it, yeah.
Yeah, for probably a week.
At least.
At least a week. So when our relationship is based pretty heavily on daily communication, physical intimacy, not just sex. Yes, sex, but other
Right.
physical intimacy.
Yeah.
We usually when we're sitting together, we're touching each other.
Right.
You know, and if I walk through his office while he's working, I'll touch his shoulder or give him a kiss or something. You know, it's just we have a lot of physical contact with you. If we're walking somewhere together, we're holding hands.
Yeah.
If we're sitting together, we're holding hands.
We talked about if we're fighting, we try to hold it.
Yeah, I mean, but we also talk a lot,
Yeah.
and
There's
so
that.
because you were so sick, that kind of went out the window. You didn't want me to touch you. There were a few days there where you were like, please don't touch me. So that was really hard.
Yeah.
And then obviously talking was not possible either.
Right.
Because you were either out of it or you were coughing. One or the other.
True, but I will say, if you get it, if somebody out there gets this, then don't lay down on your back. Sit up. Try to keep breathing deep.
Move around.
And move around as much as you can. Even if it's just like a little bit every hour or something like that. So you can get through it, but then it doesn't bring on any further complications.
Right.
I really think the touch of pneumonia was probably because I was laying on my back, and that caused it to be worse than it could have been,
Right.
maybe. So anyway, just a little. I'm not a doctor, and I'm not giving you medical advice.
This is also
I'm just giving you something based on my experience.
right. But this is medical stuff we heard from medical people too.
Sure.
You know, when you feel
but
like
we're not giving medical advice.
right. Okay, that's
Just giving you plain old common sense advice. Okay, but anyway, so back to keeping the connection.
So there was a month, 3 weeks, a month there where we weren't talking a lot at all.
Wasn't that long, was it?
It was 3 weeks. It was 3 weeks
Well, I guess
before we
because
really
the cough
because
was
the
really
cough
bad.
was bad. And a lot of the physical touch kind of went out the window too because you were just so uncomfortable.
Yeah. And it wasn't that I didn't want to. It was just more of just a discomfort,
Right.
that sort of thing. And that just made things feel worse
Yeah.
than just sitting there.
Yeah. So, I think what we discovered is that we take an awful lot for granted. I think that, unfortunately, a lot of marriages kind of just go that way, where they just don't talk anymore and they don't really touch each other anymore, and they don't even realize it's happening.
True.
Like it kind of brought all that to the
in-
surface.
You can get into, and I don't know if we may have talked about this before, but you can build habits, good habits, that enhance your marriage, such as trying to not just learning about how to fight or have a discussion
Yeah.
without tearing each other down, that sort of stuff, but also just habits of being in physical contact and having daily communication.
Right.
It can be about, well, we try to do it about just daily normal life things, but also we talk about what we've read or what we've heard, or we talk about some news or
Right.
life events or whatever,
Right.
and just where we stand on those things, and we discuss them, and that helps us keep that connection with each other. And my point here is we had to build the habits. And as you were saying, a lot of couples will not do that talking, or whenever they talk to each other, it's
It's more like an errand, like you're in
yeah.
passing, you know, like
the kids did this, go deal with it, take
yeah.
the trash out. I mean, just
Yeah.
and of course that's what we have that too, but it's not just that. I think some couples can get into the habit they build is not talking to each other, and that's why they don't notice it. It's just, it feels normal.
Yeah.
But
and it's also easy for, I think, people to take that physical touch for granted, for sure.
Definitely.
Like that could go out the window pretty quickly.
Right.
And you don't notice it. You don't think you need it anymore. And actually, I think that's what can cause some contempt, in your marriage.
Or if you're not talking to each other.
Right.
And you don't understand each other, and you don't come to agreement on things or whatever, then we talk internally to ourselves, and it can tend to be negative,
mm-hmm.
and you develop this contempt, the lack of respect.
Right.
He doesn't care, she doesn't care, or
right.
whatever. And it's totally incorrect,
mm-hmm.
at least in the beginning. But you start to think that way, and then the feelings come, and you get the contempt.
Yeah. So it really brought home how much a marriage desperately needs all of that. And what we said about there's communication about the day-to-day stuff, and then there's deeper conversations. Mm-hmm. And I think we talked about that in another podcast, because we talked about Dr. Peterson said, you should spend 90 minutes a week talking to your spouse about the day-to-day stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Kids need to go here. I need to run these errands, put this on the grocery list, whatever it is. And then you should also spend 90 minutes in some kind of intimate conversation or, in intimacy with your spouse.
Sure. And that's a planned once a week, try to do that.
Sometimes it's, 90 minutes a week, it can be an accumulative.
That's the way he described it,
yeah.
Yes. But we're talking about daily, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And I think somewhere around day 3, 4, you just stop talking. And I understood that you were sick, and I was just trying to take care of you, and then I got sick, and we were basically laying on the couch.
Yeah.
We watched all 9 seasons of The Office while we were sick.
That is true.
And then there was one 48-hour period where I basically slept about 2 hours. That's when it was the worst for me.
Okay.
So and that was when I watched the whole BBC Pride and Prejudice in a one sitting, like from 2 a.m. to 8 a.m.
You were not sleeping.
No. And I used to watch that with my girls when they were sick, that like they'd get the flu or get whatever, and that's what they wanted to watch. So I just flipped it on, and I was like, I can't sleep. I got to have some kind of distraction. So I turned it on.
Yeah.
So,
so let me.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just looked this up. I was back when we're talking about couples feeling, getting into the habit of not talking to each other. I heard about something today. It's called the shifting baseline syndrome.
Okay.
And it's where you start out at a baseline. It's like, say, that's where you are, and then as you don't, say, in the context of couples, as you don't talk, after a while, that starts to feel a little bit more normal, and your baseline shifts to talking less, little by little. So
right.
It doesn't happen all at once. Just like, it's basically another way of saying that you develop a habit, but
right.
This is what happens to us in a lot of different things, and we start to feel like not talking is normal, and then talking even less becomes normal. So that's a thing, and it can happen to couples, and it can happen to individuals in other areas.
Right.
So anyway, just wanted to.
And I'll just this just popped into my head, ladies. Let me tell you something. If you're not talking to your husband, and there's contempt being sown there because you have a lack of communication, you're going to talk to somebody.
Well, it happens.
I mean, it happens
For
more
both of you.
often, but it happens more often with women than it does with men. Women are a lot more likely to complain about their husbands than I think husbands are to complain about their wives. I think that's just. I don't have any statistics to back that up, but I think that's just kind of my
That's your
experience.
experience. I thought you were talking about more of an infidelity-ish kind of. Where,
I
you know,
suppose it could go in
if
that
you
direction.
don't have verbal intimacy
Yeah,
together,
you're gonna go find it
and you
somewhere
start,
else.
and both of you will go start looking, and it'll start with just I need somebody to talk
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
and then it develops from there, and it gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
It's a bad thing, so don't
Yeah.
let it happen.
yeah.
I'm done. Keep going.
He's still
can't
having a
talk
little
too
trouble.
much.
He's still having a little trouble. So I think the important thing here that I wanted to communicate was not. You need to step back and look at your marriage objectively and figure out how much time are we spending doing these important things on a daily basis so that we have that connection at all times. And I understand how difficult it can be when you've got little kids hanging on your
Yeah.
legs or teenagers taking up all of your time. You know, we have adult children, and we, you know, very frequently are in the middle of a conversation and a couple of our adult kids are texting us and, you know, needing this or wanting that, or they're calling us, or, you know, whatever.
Go
So
get home from work. And
we
come
get
talk
yeah,
to us.
whatever it is. They just, so it doesn't actually go away. It gets a little better.
And we're not saying that those things are bad.
No, they're not
it's just
bad.
that they're part of life, and we understand. But you have to make the time. You know, you can work 5 minutes less.
Yeah.
You can stop watching TV a lot less.
Yeah. Get off your phone.
Get off your phone, right? A lot.
Yeah.
You don't need to be on it. I mean, just, you know, break away from things that are unnecessary for a little while, and just dedicate yourselves to doing this. And because we keep saying marriage is hard work, and it is, but I think the hard part is just making yourself do it. Make the time to do the things that are important to keep your marriage strong. And but if you do that, you're gonna be, I'll repeat myself, but you're gonna be much better off. You're gonna be much happier. Your marriage is gonna last.
Right.
Your kids are gonna do better. They're gonna be happier. There's no guarantees in life, but you work toward success, or you drift toward failure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, what was I just thinking? See, here it is, COVID brain fog right in your face.
Yeah.
It's
well,
right there.
I don't know what you were thinking.
Um,
I still can't read your mind. I've tried.
well, I don't know. I think just it's been a long time since both of us been sick at the same time.
Yeah.
It's usually you're sick and I take care of you, or I'm sick and you take care of me. But
and
to have
that's even
both
pretty
of us
rare, but yeah,
down
both of us down.
at the same time, and really because of the nature of this particular, you know, sickness, it's not like you can call other people and say, come over and help us out.
True.
You know, like if we had the flu, or, you know, I don't know. I mean,
Well, Hannah
okay, I'm
was-
gonna just,
Hannah was here.
yes, Hannah was
and
here.
Really offered to help. Josh was here.
And he would run errands for
And
him
he would run
for us
errands
if
for
we
us, and
asked him to.
he didn't get it because so he didn't actually get it, and he was
Yeah.
Jonathan stayed away.
My youngest son went and
But,
stayed
you
with
know,
friends. Yeah.
He would run an errand, but he would
Yes.
like toss stuff
Well,
through the door.
But they were checking in on us.
Yeah.
You know,
So
on a daily
we weren't
basis.
alone.
And yeah.
So yeah, you definitely need somebody, but you know you got to follow the protocols.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry distracting you.
So, you know, I mean, but also, don't take your health for granted. I mean, honestly, if there was ever a time, ever, to get yourself in shape and get as healthy as you possibly can be, it's now.
Yeah.
It really is. It's time to stop procrastinating, stop putting that off.
Just go do something.
Yeah, I mean, I think the reason we're both in our 50s, so we're kind of sort of in a higher risk category, kind of.
We're moving toward that.
Or moving towards a higher risk, but, you know, we're still sitting here. We got through it.
Yeah.
You know, we're okay. And I really think that's primarily because we were in decent shape before we got it.
I don't even, yeah, I mean, if we
were
way out of shape, or if I was, not exercising, or, I mean, obese maybe, or even just not exercising, developing the beer gut, or whatever, dad bod, which is crap. Don't buy into that. I don't know. I mean, it would have been even worse.
Yeah, it probably would have been worse.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, the most, was it 75%, 78% of hospitalizations or hospital deaths? I can't remember which one it is. It's a high number. Like 3/4 it's obesity. And now we're doing a health message, but
But
this has to do with how well your marriage goes.
Yeah.
As you keep in shape for each other.
Yeah.
You don't let yourself go. We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Don't let yourself go because you want to keep yourself physically fit. Then you're going to be more attractive to each other. You're going to have more strength to be with each other. You're not just be tired in the evening and don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
You can do stuff together, take walks together, go do other things like kayaking or whatever.
Yeah.
Right? And that has to do with your physical health. But it all comes together to strengthen your marriage.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're getting at.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, but once we got through it, I realized that one of the reasons we got through it was because we were already in relative good health before it all started.
Yeah.
And I was shoveling vitamins down your throat like nobody's business. I mean, he'd come downstairs kind of half out of it, and I'd just give him a handful of pills.
It was like a pile.
I was just trying to help.
Hey, I'm still here.
So,
anyway,
it just brought all of that to the surface. What we take for granted, because I'm gonna tell you, once, and I think I asked you, how many times did I say I want my husband back?
Quite a bit.
Because it was,
like
it felt like you weren't
there, but not there.
Yes. Because we could talk and it just.
Well, you were so used to the connection, and me too, but I was out of it. That you really felt it before I did, or more than I did, because you were getting better and actually feeling that lack.
Yeah.
Whereas I was too out of it to realize it, but I understand that and started to feel it later. That, like you said, we take for granted what we've built, I guess.
Yeah.
And we hope you all build a marriage like this. And hopefully COVID doesn't come along and
or any
something,
illness. I mean, look, COVID's just on the list of things that
there are a lot of things out there.
Yes.
Not just disease that could break your not break your connection, because it's not like it was broken. It was just temporarily.
It was on hold.
On hold or discombobulated or whatever, for a little while, right? And we, if it is a long-term thing, then you'll have to figure out ways to reestablish it and keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have done that, but the reason we're talking about it today is just that it helped us see what we had that we didn't even, I guess, realize, or I don't know.
We
Like
don't
you
step
said,
back and we
it-
don't really step back and analyze it very often, or
Yeah,
pick it
We're not-
apart, or
we don't have a schedule with a day planner that says, okay, talk for 5 minutes.
yeah,
You know, it just happens.
right,
And so therefore we were taking it, like you said, we were taking it for granted that we needed it, and we realized we definitely needed it.
right,
But at the same time, it's a habit, so you got to work on it.
yeah. So
Does that cover everything, or you got more?
I think so. Boy, you can really tell that we've got some brain fog going on here.
You talk about yourself. I'm waiting for you to finish. Well, if it looked like you got more to say.
No, because for me it was a chance to step back and really look at what we have and appreciate it again.
Definitely appreciate
And then
it.
and now that we're more or less back to normal, now that we've gotten through that whole thing, and then we're past the wedding, because that was huge. That was a huge
Yeah.
thing too. Now I kind of feel like we're getting back to where we were, and I have a deeper appreciation for it now.
Yeah.
Look, there were also, okay, that's what I was going to say.
Me
The other little things that I missed, like we generally, I know a lot of couples don't do this for work reasons or whatever reasons. We go to bed at the same time.
Yeah.
And
that's
I
true.
have an alarm, and we generally both get up at the same time.
Yeah.
Right? And we've managed to keep that schedule for a long time. And it's because you telecommute, and, when we get up is based around more or less like when I need to leave in the morning to get to the gym. Right?
Yeah.
That's what my alarm is for.
Kind of, right.
So, and that's also kind of determines when we go to bed.
Right.
Right. But we snuggle every night.
Yeah.
Generally
What's a
unless we're
manly word
both.
for snuggle.
So, I don't know.
Whatever. Okay. Keep going.
But we do that at night before we go to sleep, and generally when we get up in the morning, unless one of us gets up earlier than the other, that doesn't happen
Pretty
real
rare,
often.
yeah.
So that was gone.
That's true. That was definitely
We pretty much every morning sit at the dining room table, and we might scroll through our phones and stuff, but we're
together talking
we're
about
we're
stuff.
together talking about stuff every morning,
Yeah.
pretty much. Date night went out the window. For 3 weeks we did not have a date night.
Yep. And
So
then for a few weeks after that, or even all the way through the wedding, I think we went out, maybe once?
yeah,
And the rest were at-home dates, which we
Yes.
like, but,
yeah, yeah.
it's not the same as going out.
No, but it was harder for you to go out because you feel like I'm coughing all the time, and
I mean, who wants to go out in the world of COVID and you have this cough and you're not sick, but you got this cough, and everybody's going to look at you and say, "What's wrong with you? Why are you here?" So, I didn't want to go out and do that.
yeah. And I'll just say it: we didn't have sex for a month.
That's true. It was just it was too much fatigue.
Yeah.
Too hard to do.
Yep.
We've remedied that, so we're past it.
That connection is reestablished. We'll say that. But you just. I'm not saying it takes something like this to make you take a look at your marriage and see what you're taking for granted.
Right.
But it's a good idea to do that, even if you're not struggling with stuff. Like, every once in a while, you have to step back and look at the things that you can appreciate about your marriage and where you're at and your spouse. We talked about gratefulness.
Mm-hmm. This is a bigger look at the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Are we doing the things? Are we just kind of trying to get by? Are we drifting backwards?
Yeah. Or
are we
drifting,
making-
period.
Drifting period. Yeah. Well, if you're drifting, you're going backwards. You know, drifting with the stream, going downstream, or are you paddling upstream toward a goal? So.
The going through this definitely, I mean, the goal was we've got to get past this and get back to where we were.
Yeah.
So we can keep moving forward from there.
Yeah.
Like we have had another child move out now.
Yeah.
And now
She's moved out. Yeah.
child number 6 has moved into the guest house.
Yeah.
So we've
And
got
he's
one.
talking about getting married. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we've got one kid left in the house.
Right.
And he works 4 days a week.
Right.
And generally, he keeps to himself.
Yeah, but he's trying to get going in college and all that.
Sure.
So. But anyway, oh, shoot. You know, I lose my thread in my head. I mean, my gosh. And I'm only, 50-something, so. Anyway. We don't want too much silence. I'm just going to fill it with jabber until you start talking again, because I can't remember what it was.
No, I mean, I've covered what was going through my head.
Okay.
As far as this whole episode is concerned.
Yeah.
So COVID, I would give it 1 star. It sucked.
0 stars.
It sucked. It sucked. It was awful. But, now we're both sitting here with strong long-term antibodies.
Yep, that's true.
So,
we got tested.
We both got tested.
That,
so we're in good shape that way.
I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
Because it was this is the same about establishing or reestablishing your connection related to physical health. I mean, when I I think I'd just gotten through the very worst part of it, and I learned about some breathing exercises, learned about some of the things. That's why I said earlier, don't just lay around, don't lay on your back, sit up, and I forgot to say, but and try to breathe deeply, even if you got shortness of breath. You just keep working at it. I remember the story about Teddy Roosevelt. He was kind of a frail kid and all that stuff, and he did not want to be that way, so he got outdoors and he forced himself to get outdoors and to build his strength. I mean, he could have just laid around and been this sickly kid, and he got past that. And of course, who he was and what he did, but he wouldn't have done all that stuff if he hadn't made himself do it.
Right.
So I think my COVID would have lasted longer, my symptoms would have lasted longer and been worse if I had not been taught some things to do and then forced myself to do them. And so applying that same lesson to your marriage, whether you're doing really well now and you want to make it better, you should want to make it better, or whether you realize you've been drifting and things aren't so great, you got to put that effort into it, and you're going to end up with something much better that you're really going to be happy with.
Right.
Together.
Yeah.
All right. So if we're both done talking about that subject.
Yes, I think so.
Okay. So we're about done, but I'll just say before COVID, we're posting this one now. Before COVID, we recorded a episode on romance that because of COVID I didn't have time to edit or do anything with. So we'll post this one now, and then as soon as I can get to the romance one, so I probably won't wait a month to post that. So we'll get that out as well, just so you know that's coming. And I think that's about it.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, as you said earlier, the email address not that one. Forget that. The email address, marriageonthehalfshell@gmail.com.
Yep.
It's all one word. Stick it all together with no spaces, dots, or anything. You can contact us and ask questions, comments, make them nice, be friendly, and we would love to hear from you. And I think that's it.
Yes, it is.
That's it. Bye.
Okay.